Just a little greetings, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's doing well and enjoying yourselves this Friday. Today has really just been a relaxed day for me. So I hope you guys have, if you're working or you had a busy day today, that you still found some type of beauty in it today, some type of peace, some type of joy in it. So, I'm going to do a general guidance read, a collective read. I don't know what it's going to be about. I know this week I've kind of been going in on, probably feel like I'm coming at people or going in on people is not my intention. I'm only speaking what I'm led to speak and helping those who I'm supposed to help and activate and, into their healing. So I don't assume that everybody is going to be able to deal with that or hang with it or resonate with it. It is what it is. I'm going to use this new deck that I got this week. I have not used it on the channel yet, I don't think. I don't think I've used this deck yet. I got it on Wednesday. I don't think I've used it on the channel. I almost used it last night on my happy hour, so. Alright. Okay. Alright. Divine Spirit, thank you. Ooh, okay. Daughter of Pentacles flew right out of the deck. I don't want to pull just yet. I kind of want to let some messages come to me first, intuitively. Divine downloads before I start reading. Those that walk before you. That's what I just heard. Elders, those that have walked before you. What does that mean? Things, okay, you might, for those of you that are meant to resonate with this message, some of it may resonate, mind you, and some of it may not, or it just may not resonate at all. Keep that in mind. For those of you that this will resonate with, your elders or your ancestors, those that walk before you, that's what I heard. Those that walk before you, they were the courageous ones. I'm getting fear. Somebody's backed up in a corner due to fear. So your ancestors were very courageous and it's in your blood. And I feel like you are called to do things that other people won't do. You're called to be, you're called to be and speak what others won't do or be or say. Even if you feel backed into a corner, I don't know why I'm getting like, I'm actually seeing like a little girl backed into a corner, like hiding. I'm getting like a male elder. Someone comes from poverty, or like this elder that I'm getting like comes from poverty, and the people around that time or in their community might have been afraid to kind of go against the grain in some type of way because they felt like whatever their life was, that's just what they were, that's just the life that they were given, so they might as well just get used to it, kind of like submit to that lifestyle and not think anything higher of themselves. Something along the lines of that. Spirit is saying. Same thing with you. You might be placed in an environment where people may not believe that they're meant to be anything more than what, what they see around them or what they have in front of them. Even if you don't come from poverty, or just people that have a poverty mindset. And what I mean by poverty, it doesn't necessarily have to be only exclusive to financial circumstances or financial status, material wealth, whatever. It could also be belief in themselves to be able to accomplish anything in life, to be able to free themselves out of toxic situations, or to you know, go out and start something for themselves, or produce for themselves. You might be the exception of that, and it's something inside of you, and you might kind of deal with that fear a little bit, but I feel like that glass ceiling, you're meant to break that. I feel like there's many, okay, this is like, this could be family. Like, you set the tone, or you are setting the tone in you're leading of some type of example. You're leading as an example. This elder gives me the hermit vibe. This is somebody that could have been like, I wouldn't say a loner, but an outcast. They kind of were different. Spend a lot of time like with themselves, even amongst others. Like, they could have been, you know, around a lot of people, but there's something about them being their own person at the same time. Like, they didn't do everything that everybody was doing. For you, I feel like there's people in your family, I'm getting, or in your circle, that have gotten the call to do things in their life, and they may have avoided or ignored the call, whereas for you, it's kind of like you feel kind of forced into this or pushed into this. But I'm getting like, I don't know why I'm hearing the word pioneer, but I don't know if that's the right context for this, but because it's almost like, because if you can do it, I don't know if you're like someone that people look at as least likely to succeed in some type of instance, or to overcome a specific thing. I'm just going to use this as an example. This does not have to be your life or your situation. But you could have been a drug addict, a heavy drug addict or something, or an alcoholic, let's say, right? Hypothetically, I'm just using this as an example. And everybody else amongst you looked at you as always just that. Or you were someone that was, it's like the least likely to succeed. And you actually end up being that. And spirit uses people usually that others overlook, underestimate, second guess, count out, because when something takes place in their life, when those things that are unlikely take precedence in your life, other people around you, that's what gets people's attention. It's like, how? Because it's God, right? It's supernatural. It's not something that was likely to happen. That's how miracles and supernatural things, it doesn't make sense to the natural, right? It doesn't make sense to the human mind. So that's where the influence comes in. It's like, if they can do that, if they can overcome that, if they can achieve this, or whatever the case may be, why can't I do that? I can do that too. And I feel like spirit wants to use you. Okay, thank you. The message is coming in. I'm like, wait a minute, because I got to put it together. Spirit shows me visions and gives me phrases, and it's like, okay, I put it together. It takes some time, but it comes in. Okay. Might take a little bit of time. All right. Let's get to the message. Holy Spirit, I thank you. Well, I'll be danged. You got a lot of major arcana cards. Dang. I don't know if I can pull all of these now. Wow. So you have the moon. The words are different because it's based off of, it's an Islamic belief practice. So their words are different, but you have the Chariot. You have the Magician. You have the Hierophant. I'm pulling all the majors out first. And you have the Sun. Goodness, all these cards. You have the Wheel of Fortune. Let's see. The Empress. The Worlds. And then the minor arcanas. You have the Six of Wands. You have the Ace of Wands. You got all kind of wands. The Three of Wands. And the Seven of Wands. So a lot of movement. Yeah, you're definitely a pioneer. I get Moses energy from this. This feels like Moses energy. And I know, like, some of you guys are like, I'm so sick and tired of this heifer talking about the Bible. I don't care. It's one of the ways that God speaks to me, and I love Bible parables, so it is what it is. Don't block a message out that may be for you just because it's coming in a way that It's unlikely. But no, I'm getting Moses' story. And Moses contended with God. He was fighting against his calling because he was like, I got a speech impediment. I'm a criminal in Egypt. I can't go back. I can't speak to people. Nobody's going to listen to me. Like, I don't know why you calling me. Trying to, you know, try to bargain with God and fight against his call. But when you're called, you're called. And that's the thing again, like miracles work through the most unlikely spaces, vessels, circumstances. That's what a blessing, that's what a miracle, that is what supernatural is. That's how God works for the most part. It's not, our ways are not the divine's ways. Our ways are not similar to the intelligence of the divine creator. So I feel like for you guys, it's something similar to that, where you're called to something and you might be going, no, I'm not doing it. I don't know what you're talking about. This is bigger than me. It's too much. I don't know if I can handle this task. But you're called to it. You're going to be victorious. And I feel like this is not only about you. There's others behind you that, again, you're the example of it. It's not about making it about self. And I feel like the Seven of Wands is that fighting. But when you sit in this looks like Sarah Jessica Parker. I don't know why. But when you sit with yourself and you open your heart to receive and really, you're going to, I feel like there's going to be movement. Because again, this isn't something that you can control in a sense of stop nor force it or make it happen. It's like you're just in the flow of divinity. You're in the flow of what already is. If that makes sense. Spirit is using maybe your creativity or something with you, like utilizing your gifts and your talents. This Empress card gives me Queen Esther, another Bible story that I love, and a lot of people may love or are familiar with the story of Queen Esther. She was born an orphan. Not born an orphan, excuse me. She became an orphan. Her parents were taken from her. She was raised by her uncle. The women of her culture were all ripped and stripped from their homes. They were kidnapped and taken into captivity to be in the Persian palace, the king's palace, because he was looking for a new wife. So she was pulled into a situation that was kind of unfortunate. There's a word that keeps coming to me. I don't remember if it's in this phone or the other one. Let me see. I don't know if I put it in this. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Please forgive me if I do not pronounce this word correctly, but I believe it's vestitude. It's spelled V as in Victor, Icissitude, D as in David, E. Vestitude. I believe that's how you say it, how you pronounce it. The word vestitude means a change of circumstances or fortune, typically one that is unwelcomed or unpleasant. So for some of you, these things, like your call, it may come out of or be birthed out of a circumstance or a shift or a change that seems to come in a way that is not something that you would have picked for yourself. Like, you don't want that, but it turns out to be a blessing. Like Queen Esther, people kind of romanticize that story a little bit, because of the fact of this girl being chosen by a prince out of many women that she was not in competition like Flavor of Love, where it was like grimy, dirty, backstabbing stuff, but more so like other women that were in running to be chose by this prince, and she was one that was highly favored and stood out. She was beautiful, she was humble, but it's bigger than that. Because she was put in that circumstance against her will. The women that were put in the palace were put in that position against their will. So it wasn't like this beautiful romantic story in the beginning. She ended up being chosen and crowned as queen, and she used her status, her position as queen, to vindicate her people from getting slaughtered against the I believe it was the Persians, if I'm not mistaken, Jews against the Persians at the time. She used her favor, her status, to bless others. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this, in a sense. It doesn't have to be as grand as that, but it is something to it. And it very well could be as grand as that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the Wheel of Fortune, the 10. This is something that is divine. divinely ordained, but it also can represent a change that is unexpected, not something that you can fathom or make up for yourself. You have the sun and the moon here as well. So I get alignment, I get divine order. The word cosmos in Greek means ordained, it means perfect. Can also represent and mean the world or the universe, something that is perfect in alignment, something that is structured. So you have the world card here, everything coming full circle. This could also be a shift or change in your environment or change geographically. Ugh, hope I'm saying that. When I read, I sound so stupid sometimes. Like, I'll be like, what am I even saying? What am I even talking about? But you get the 7, what is this? I was about to say Uchiwali, but it kind of looks like it says that. But this is the chariot in this deck. Not Uchiwali. I got to look up the word cosmos in Greek because I wrote it down a long time ago. Yeah, it means the world. It can also represent order or arrangement. Can also represent something that is adorned or adornment, to furnish. So something that is perfectly in orchestration and alignment and arranged is already set in motion and in plan. And some of you guys could be natural scribes with the Magician card. You guys could be the scribes. You guys could write. You guys might journal. You guys might type things that you're gathering. I would definitely say when you're in that space of solitude, when you're in that place of prayer and meditation with the Hierophant and the 7 of Wands energy, when you're in that place, hey, greetings. When you're in that space or in that place, you might get downloads that you want to write down. It can also represent too, yeah, because I did mention creativity. So yeah, it could be music for some of you. Yeah. When you're in that space too, you might get open visions. And open vision is that you're awake, you're aware that you're awake, but it's like you get like you kind of go, it's kind of like That's So Raven. And I've experienced this before. It's real. Like you can kind of like, you're there, you're still. It's almost like when people say daydreaming, when they daydream and they kind of get lost, like they forget where they're at in a sense. It's kind of like that, but it's a vision that's very clear. It's not you like trying to put stuff together and you like sitting there fantasizing. It's visions that are actually being downloaded and given to you. So that could be also things that you want to write down what you're seeing. Like when I go into like prayer and I really go up high up there, like when I'm praying and I'm very like, I can't explain it. I'm in the spirit. Like I know I'm still here physically in my body, but I'm in that space. I get visions too. And then I have to remember, because when I'm in that space, it's like, okay, when I come out of it and I'm grounded again, I got to remember everything that I may have seen or I may have heard in visually what I saw and what I've heard, and write it down before I forget it, so I can go back later and meditate upon it and see what spirit was trying to say to me or convey. Because sometimes it does come in visions, like little clips here and there, or it could be a full scene. And then there might be certain things that stand out to you, like, okay, I saw a horse, okay, I see salt, I see a rainbow, I see a candle, I see this, I see that. And then you got to remember, maybe you heard a phrase, maybe you heard something, then you got to remember that and write it down. Maybe you saw a number, or maybe you saw a date or a time, and then you got to write that down so that when you go back, you can meditate upon it, pray on it, reflect on it, so that you get the download. And I feel like Spirit saying to really do that. I'm seeing journaling. If it is like creative things like music, is an idea, if it's poetry, like write it down. This is weird. I don't know if anybody has ever experienced this, whoever third son is, if you've ever experienced this, but I'll hear like music in my head, and it's not music that exists. I'll hear literal songs, I'll hear like beats, I'll hear lyrics. It's so weird. I wish that I could just write that shit down. If I could duplicate it, what I hear and what I like, it's weird. And I've heard remixes to songs that don't even exist. It's the weirdest shit. I don't know if anybody's experienced that. I don't know what that is, but that happens to me. And I don't make music, so I don't know what that is. So that could be something too, you guys. I don't know how you would be able to document that for yourself. You might be able to recall the beat that you heard in your sleep. You might be able to recall that lyric that you heard in your sleep, but it's interesting. Just scribe, Spirit is saying, just scribe, write it down. And the fact that you got all these major arcana cards is interesting. So I would write these down. Let me call the majors out so that you can write them down, just in case there's something that you keep running into, or there might be something significant. So again, you have the Hierophant, you have the Magician. Let me put these to the side. You got the World, the Empress, the Wheel of Fortune, the Sun and the Moon, and the Chariot, if you guys can recall and remember them. That's interesting. Yeah, it could be, that could be a clairaudient thing, or especially those that are gifted in the areas of music and stuff like that, and sound frequencies. That's like strong clairaudience. But yeah, those are, you got, majority of your cards were all major arcanas, and then you got the Ace of Wands, the Three of Wands, Six, and the Seven of Wands. So all your minors were fire energy. That's creativity, that's movement, that's spirit. Look at the back of this card with this Magician. Look at the order and the arrangement of the planets. That's divine alignment. That's the word cosmos. Look up the word cosmos meaning in Greek. In Greek or in Hebrew, let me see what that means. Let me see. Yeah, it just represents the earth as a planet. It represents the universe, cosmos, K-O-S-M-O-S. In Greek, it means order or arrangement. It can also represent adornment, making ourselves beautiful, to arrange, to furnish, or to adorn. Angels, number 21. Visual guidance, number 5. Yep. Crown chakra, number 12. Yeah, this is, you're getting, okay, and it could even be specifically as this too. You're getting downloads from angelic, divine angelic forces. These downloads, like you're being assisted. I kept hearing a lot of people, I kept hearing a lot of prophetic videos that came across with them saying that you would get visitation from angels. And I was picking up things like that too. I had a vision. I seen an angel. It kind of looks like what the judgment card would look like. But they weren't, how to explain it? They weren't holding a trumpet. They were holding something and they were pouring it out onto people. And it was something that the people needed because their hands were raised up to the sky. It was like a group of people, like a big, large group of people with their hands raised up. And this angel was pouring onto them. So it could be, I'm sorry, I have to, this it's just me. I'm hearing that Bible scripture where it says, I'll pour out my spirit. In the last days, I will pour out my spirit unto, I got to look it up. Hold on. Oh, I got to find that scripture. So a lot of you that don't have dreams, you're not someone that is a dreamer, or you're someone that usually does not remember dreams. You're someone that does not really have visions and things like that. Because of the time that we're in, a lot of people are experiencing this, especially if you're receptive to it. Here it is. If you guys care, the scripture is Joel chapter 2, verse 28 through 32. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. I'm not going to read the whole scripture because that's the part that I've heard. I'll pour out my spirit upon flesh. So your sons and daughters shall prophesy, old men shall dream dreams, and young men shall see visions. That's the time that we're in right now. And I'm not even playing with y'all. It's 2:29 on the clock. And I was just saying 2:28 through verse 32. That's what I be saying. Divine is amazing. Y'all probably think I'm like fanatical or crazy, but can't make it up. There's no such thing as coincidence to me. It's not. We just gotta make it make sense. That's all. Or just be receptive and not be so carnal and so limited and putting divine spirit, God, into a box, like based off of religion. I'm gonna talk about religious trauma. I really want to talk about that because I feel like a lot of us in the spiritual community, we have religious trauma. We really do. The word God is like cringy to a lot of people when they hear it, and I really truly believe that it's trauma from those that went and grew up in church, and also trauma from religion. I'm gonna do a video on that one day. And it's because we've been taught by these institutions to limit what God is, what source is. You know what I mean? So obviously, you know, it's a trigger for a lot of people. And I understand, because for a time, I wouldn't use the word God. Even though that's how I was raised, I had a lot of trauma from growing up in church. I experienced a lot of trauma with religion as itself. I didn't understand it from a spiritual standpoint. People can be very religious but not be spiritual, if that makes sense. You could be of a Christianic faith and be spiritual. And you can also still be in a Christian faith, Christianic, I don't even think that's a word. You could still be a Christian and also be religious. There's a difference between spiritual and religion. I can have a faith as a Catholic and be super religious, or I could be very spiritual, because God is spiritual. If that makes sense. God is spirit. God is spiritual. God is not a religion. So I understand, trust me, I get the trauma around it. I get the cringe when you hear God and Jesus, and when you hear those things, it might cause you to cringe because of the trauma behind the experience of religion and what it does to people, and the doom and gloom that's taught behind it, or dealing with, you know, people in church that were, you know, really demonic in disguise. So I'll probably do a whole video on that one day, because I feel like some people will resonate with that. But anywho, we're not going to get too far into this. But yeah, you have angels, visual guidance, and crown chakra. So, and even look, it's like pouring out. That kind of looks like a clock too. A divine clock. So for those of you that, yeah. For those of you that you visually see things typically you don't see these things, or you're not someone that remembers your dreams and stuff like that. You are. So even furthermore, for those of you that aren't usually visual people, or those that don't usually have dreams and you recall your dreams, that's really something to pay attention to. Don't discount your dreams. Some of it, I'll probably do like a whole thing on dreams as well, because I've been heavily into that. I've always been a dreamer. I've always been a prophetic dreamer since I was a little kid. Like, I didn't call it that at the time. I didn't know that was something, because I wasn't taught anything about that. So lately, I've been really studying dreams and how it works, the different levels of dreams that come from the psyche, the subconscious, that come from day-to-day experiences, dreams that may be hijacked, dreams that are divinely influenced, dreams that are prophetic, dreams that are like the different levels of it. I would love to go into that and share that for anybody that wants to like learn and study, or how to discern or decipher what type of dream you're having. I would love to do that. But yeah, write your dreams down. If it's something that is very visual, in a sense that it's very vivid in color, where there's a clear message in it, like, how to explain it? It's not a lot of different things going on at once. It might have different scenes, but they all go together. It's something that it might have the same characters in it. It may have the same premise. That is a message. It's not just something that you're fleshing out of your mind or out of your systems. Like when you take in things consciously or subconsciously in your waking life, and then when you go to sleep, you're processing that. It doesn't always have to be something prophetic. And when I say prophetic, something that is to happen or comes to pass. Some dreams are meant to help you or discern what's going on inside of you. Some dreams may just be foolishness, just stuff that you're fleshing out, right? There could also be dreams where you're getting, your dreams are being hijacked. That happens too. If you ever watch the movie Inception, in a sense, there's some gems in that movie too. That movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think, who else is in that movie? I can't remember all the people in the movie. I can see the faces, but I don't know all the actors' names. But anyway, you guys seen that movie before, or you want to go back and watch it. Anywho, if you can, one thing I will say, like, if you can recall the dream back to yourself and it was very vivid and it has a level of understanding, like you kind of get what it is. Like, okay, I know if I see a giraffe, it means this, or why I saw this person in my dream. So you document all of that, and it'll be very colorful too. Like I said, it'll be very vivid with color. Usually hijacked dreams, or AKA demonic dreams, or dreams where you're being attacked, they'll be dark in nature. It'll be very gloomy. You'll wake up feeling uneasy too. Don't discount those dreams either, because you want to be able to discern what areas maybe you're being attacked in, or maybe where you need healing, or if spirit is actually giving you a warning in the dream. Don't give in to fear. That's one thing. If you do wake up feeling like uneasy or kind of like, oh my God, what the hell was that? I would say to sit with that dream and that spirit to reveal, okay, what is this? Is this showing me the area where I'm being attacked? Especially like where you're being bitten by animals, or you're seeing like maybe you're being abused in some type of way, or some type of violence is happening. Someone's doing something strange in the dream. That could be gossip, slander, some type of spiritual attack. Don't sit on those dreams. Pray against them. And it's not to be in fear. It's just showing you like spirit is just graceful enough and loving to show us things that's going on in our dreams, right? Or areas maybe where we need to heal. Like if your teeth is falling out, or you're falling. It's some type of area of your life where you're living in fear, or you feel powerless. Car dreams can typically be like where how you're living your life. It can also be your ministry. It could be your area of purpose. If somebody else is driving for you, that could be you're allowing that person to take full control over your life in some sense, or there's some type of heavily influence in your life. Could be positive or negative. Really depends on the nature of the dream. If you're in a car full of people, it could be these are people that are going to be significant to your path in some way, or significant to your ministry or your purpose that you're called to. For others, just to, again, discern like the influence of the people in the car. Colors are very significant as well, like the colors of what you're seeing in your dream. If you're having a dream of a car, what color is it? What size is it? Yeah, see, for those that are leaving because they're hearing the word demonic and all of that, and they're like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Producer Third Son just said they had a dream about them fighting with an entity in a dream, and they woke up and the garage was broken into. I had a dream that somebody was trying to stab me, and it's not literal. When you look up what that means prophetically, that means slander and gossip. Like not even, maybe even a day or two later after that, I got attacked. And that's like gossip and slander. After that, God always gives you a heads up about everything. The good news, like the good thing again, like when you see a lot of color, that's how you know it's divine, because it's something that is bright, it's light, it makes sense. It's not a lot of darkness. It's not shadow energy in it. Especially if you see like the sun or some type of bright light, you see the sky and it's light. Skies for me can also be like a prophetic vision. Dreams or with windows, especially big windows, and it's brightness in that, or it's like daytime in the dream. That could be a vision as well. That could be an insight into something. A door that's open can represent a window or a door of opportunity too. Same thing with windows. Windows could be opportunity that's presenting itself. An open door could be a door that that's opening, or an opportunity that's opening for you, or a glimpse into something that's coming ahead. Pictures could be memories. I'm like, this is what I'm led to, because I don't know if you guys have dreams like this. I'm just being led to share these symbols that's coming to me. Pictures can represent a memory of something or something you wish to capture. Books can represent a level of knowledge and wisdom. If you can see what the title is of a book or the nature of what's in the book, that will give you more of what you need knowledge or wisdom in. Water can also represent your thirst for something, can also represent your emotions, how you feel in the dream. It can represent a place of cleansing. For others too, like some of you guys, typical dreams people have are in houses, bedrooms, kitchens, living rooms. The house itself, whenever you dream about a house, that represents your heart. That represents what's in your heart space. Bedroom is a place of intimacy and a sacred place. Kitchens can represent where you cleanse yourself. Stairs can represent like levels, steps, especially if you're going up. That's good. If you're having dreams of walking up the steps, or if you're having dreams of being on an elevator and you're going up, that's you reaching some type of higher level based off of whatever else is going on in the dream. If you're descending down, that means something that you're somewhere where you're going that's not leading down the right direction. But Spirit again will always reveal to you why or what to do if you're descending. Let's see, what is another common? People in dreams. Like if you have dreams about people that you know in the waking life, or like say you have dreams of like an actor or something, the nature, like what that person represents, like let's say their character. Let's say you have a dream about a comedian, something about maybe you needing to lighten up, or you wanting to have more of a character that's more happier or more lighthearted. You have a dream about your sister. What's the relation with your sister? What are they doing in the dream? And I also too, I look up names and what they mean. So if I have a dream about somebody that I know or I know of, I typically look up what does their name mean, because that could be a message all in itself. It doesn't have to be literal, like, oh, I had a dream that me and so-and-so were kissing. You guys could be in agreement. Kissing in a dream, it could kind of have a sexual nature. If you felt like sexual energy in a dream, that is not always a good sign. I have to be honest with this real quick. So if you have dreams of like having sex with strangers, those are spirits. Cancel that out immediately. Spirit spouses, if you want to do your research on that, look up what spirit spouses are. If you're having strange dreams of having sex with people you don't know, or you're having like weird, like nasty dreams, look into that. Or it could just be something you was looking at. Kissing in a dream, if it doesn't give you an icky feeling in your sleep, or doesn't make you feel like dirty or gross or like, ew, what was that? That can represent two people that are in agreement to something. You're in agreement. What are you in agreement with? It depends on the nature of the dream. What's going on in the dream? What's the interaction? Again, look up what people's names mean. Like, what's the name? What's the meaning of? What's the traditional meaning? What is the Hebrew meaning? I look up Hebrew and I look up Greek meaning. Sometimes it's similar. Or traditional meaning. What is the meaning of this person's name? And it will give you more insight into what the dream is about, what that person represented in your dream. Because dreams are symbolism. You don't always take everything fully at face value. You want to discern it. Sometimes your dreams could have a practical meaning and also have a spiritual message, because God speaks in parables. God speaks in codes, right? Same thing with numbers. Numbers are codes. Dates, if you see dates or months or something in your dream, write that down, and then like, what else did you see in the dream? And then it might give you a little more to go off of. What's another common thing? We already did flying, I think. Teeth falling out is a typical thing that people have. Fighting in a dream can show you where the conflict is, something that either needs to be confronted and dealt with in a healthy manner, of course. It can show where there's friction or conflict in your life. Who you're fighting with, that could be significant. If it's not anybody that you're fighting with in the waking life or have any issues with you, again, go back to what that person's name represents. Let me see. If you're having dreams of like I said, cars, like automobiles, if you're having dreams of like planes or private jets or something like that, airplanes can represent something international. It could be literal travel, or it could represent if it's your purpose, if it's your calling. It can represent an international ministry or international purpose, like where you're going, like something where you're meant to travel or where you reach a lot of people. Boats can also represent a journey as well. That can also represent big ministries as well. The bigger the vehicle is, the bigger the calling is, or the connect is, or the contact or influence is. Same thing with trains. Trains is a destination. How can you tell a character? Wait, how can you tell a character in a dream was symbolic versus face value? I would say connect the dots between what the personal connection is already. If it reflects in the dream, because I've heard people say that they've had dreams about, let's say like they're a family member in their sleep and that they're fighting in the dream, but they don't have issues in the waking life. It could just represent like, okay, that your sister, whatever her name means, there's something that is some type of conflict in some area with that, if that makes sense. Some meanings, you can have a dream of someone you're married to, like in the waking life, like your husband or your wife. Husband can represent spirit in the spirit realm. Doesn't have to be your physical husband. Unless it's something that relates to the waking life, most likely it's further exposing something more in your dream, if that makes sense. But I would say this too, like dreams are not always black and white. That's why you got to sit with them and discern them, or ask spirit to give you further revelation, give you divine wisdom about your dream. Because I don't ever suggest that people take things fully at face value, like, oh, I had a dream that I was being chased. Am I in danger? Not necessarily. Sometimes it's something you're running away from too. You got to pay attention to all components in your dream, not just one specific thing. Whatever stood out to you in a dream, it stood out to you for a reason. You got to put everything together. You had a dream that you were on a date with, I don't know, I was about to say something stupid because of this article that I read, and it was funny. It's still funny to me to this day. It's not supposed to be funny, but it's funny. But let's say like you have a dream about this actor, right? And you guys are on a date. It doesn't necessarily mean that you and that person are going to date in real life. There's something maybe that the date could represent something that you're meant to come into union with, or come into agreement with. What does that person's name mean? Again, then it'll give you further context of why you're dreaming of that. If it's prophetic, there's an element to it where you can sense like, okay, that was something how do I explain it? It's very clear. Sometimes it feels like you're outside of yourself, outside of your body, like you're watching a movie. Sometimes that could be prophetic. Sometimes it's like you're outside of yourself watching things play out in front of you, if that makes sense. Like I said, windows could be like a sign of something prophetic, a window, especially if there's a light behind it, or it's like a daytime thing. It's not dark in energy. What else? Doors. It's like you'll feel like this. It's a sense of a glimpse of something. You're not going to wake up confused, per se. You're not going to be like worried about it, fear. It'll be something that kind of, you'll just be at peace. Even though if you don't fully understand it, it's not something that's going to cause you to be anxious. Because a lot of times it's not spirit. And this is coming from somebody that dreams. And I've had plenty of dreams that come to pass. Like, I can tell what dreams are prophetic or things that Spirit's giving me a heads up versus things that are just coming out of my own imagination, especially if I wrestle with it too much. I hope that was helpful. I'll do a whole thing. Hey, better lady, happy Friday. I'll probably do a whole thing on dreams. And then you guys can just ask me. I'll be glad to, like, go into it. I probably won't be able to just like decode a whole entire dream interpretation for someone, but like key things, I'll just call them out. Babies, I just got that real quick too. If someone had a question about babies, babies in a dream can be literal sometimes, but not always. Babies can represent something that you're giving birth to, or something that you are to, hey, emo indigo, something that you might need to nurture. Children in dreams can represent innocence, but they also can represent things that you need to nurture more of. I had a dream about my baby, my daughter, before I even had her. I don't know if I was already pregnant and I didn't know it yet, or I was getting a heads up that I was going to be pregnant. I had a dream, and this is where I say, like, you're outside of yourself, or you could be experiencing the dream like you're an actor in your dream. It's almost, I don't know how to explain it. So I was holding my daughter, and I seen, like, her face, her facial features were so clear. I remember what her hair looked like. I remember what her face looked like. I remember holding this baby in my hand. Fast forward, I didn't have her full term. She was a preemie. So, like, fast forward like 7 months and a half later, I seen that same baby. So that can happen sometimes. It doesn't always have to be like that, but that, yeah, that was funny. So babies, clothes. Clothes is another one. If you're clothes, pay attention to the color. Pay attention to how you feel. If the garment is new, or you're buying something new, this can represent like a new identity, a new you that's coming into being, a new status. If you feel insecure in your clothing, or your clothes are falling apart, it's something about your identity that can represent an insecurity that you have, or a complex that you got to deal with. Shoes, same thing. Shoes can represent our walk, our path. If you have a dream about shoes, same thing, how you feel in your clothes. Do you feel like, are your shoes dirty? Are your shoes broken down? Are you wearing your own shoes? Are you wearing shoes that fit? Are you wearing shoes that are oversized or too little? That could be you're trying to step into something that's not your path, or you're not called to. The color of your shoes can also have another representation. Sandals can represent like a humble walk. Like fancy shoes could be something that might be like higher level of status. I remember I have dreams like this often sometimes. So I'm gonna be a little like vulnerable and transparent. I'll have dreams where my feet are ashy. Like that's like the biggest, even in my waking life. If I go outside the house, because I get dry really quick because I live in the desert. So that's why I like to put on hella shea butter and cocoa oil on me and stuff. But sometimes, like, if I get out the shower and I put that stuff on, I'll dry up again. And I'll go outside and I'll be like, oh my God, why are my ankles ashy? Like, that's a pet peeve. I hate being ashy. So it's a big pet peeve for me. And I'm brown skinned, so you can see it. It's not like I can hide it. So I'm like, okay, I need some oil on my feet. So in my dreams, if I'm having dreams where I'm like putting on shoes and I notice the ashiness, it's something that I'm not completely comfortable with when it comes to my walk or my path that I'm supposed to be on. I'm a little uncomfortable, or I feel like I'm not equipped for it in some sense. And I had like a dream about that, and I shared that dream maybe a year or two ago about that. Or my shoes, I was trying to change my shoes because I felt a complex about what I had on and I was uncomfortable. That is a sign like of some type of complex, some type of insecurity, some type of you not feeling comfortable with your path or something, or where you may be called to, something you're meant to step into. Bare feet can represent submission, can also represent pilgrimage or some type of spiritual walk. Depends on the context around that too. Bathtubs and showers, sinks, all of that, that's cleansing. That's you washing something away. Definitely if you're in a bathroom, that's a place of cleansing and purification. Water. Fire can represent transmutation, but it can also represent rage and anger. Could be passion too. You just gotta be able to discern what's going on. Birds in your dreams can represent sometimes messengers, and it can also represent monitoring too, like something or someone monitoring you or watching. Not to get freaked out. Sometimes they could be messengers too. Depends on how you feel in the dream. If it feels like weird, Strange, you feeling fear, that could be a monitoring spirit. People that maybe you might have somebody around you that's nosy, someone that doesn't have the best intentions. If you have a dream of a bird and something about it, it was a light context to behind it, or you felt something profound behind it. Maybe the bird was speaking to you. That very well could be a prophetic message to you. So pay attention to that too. Letters in the dream, text messages, phone calls. It could represent communication and spirit speaking to you directly in that dream. Or if it's a person, sometimes it could be that person communicating to you about something, or spirits using that person as a character to speak something to you. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to do a video on that. I love decoding dreams. Like, that's one of my things. Like, I love that. The realm of dreams. Like, I love it. Even though sometimes I'll be like, what the hell does this dream mean? It might take a minute, but hey. Yeah, sunlight, any presence of sunlight or light and illumination can be the presence of the divine. Daytime can also be divine presence, or it could be just something that's illuminated, something that's clear, if that makes sense. Darkness could also represent the absence of light somewhere, or something that's still hidden. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. All right, y'all, that was the end. I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to go too much into that. I'll save that for another time. For those of you that are into dreams and stuff, I would love to like go into it with y'all. I would love it. And if you guys have some experiences with dreams and things like that you feel like might help someone and be beneficial, y'all can share that in the chat too, but I'll save that for another time. Bad flood the same night. Oh wow. Wow, wait a minute. It just left. Food. Before I get out of here, food. If you have dreams about eating food, that represents something that your spirit is taking in. So if it's good food, if it's cooked from someone that is, like if it's something healthy, like let's say you have a dream about eating that you trust, or someone that's feeding you in love, that can represent good food, good fruits, good character. You're eating good things of the spirit. If it's like somebody trying to give you an alcoholic drink, that could be like a spirit. I don't know what kind of spirit. If you're afraid to eat certain food in a dream, don't eat it. If you're having dreams about like food with like something nasty on, let's say like you have a dream about a roach on your pizza or something, that can represent tainted things. Don't intake those things. Food can represent what you're eating spiritually, what you're depositing in your spirit in dream form. What you're drinking, same thing. It almost left me. I was about to say something, but it left me. Oh my God, it left. I don't think it was about food. It could be. Yeah, if it's something that you're getting, like Spirit saying, be discerning about what you listen to, what you watch, who you take advice from. If it's something in the dream that you feel like you don't want to eat or you don't want to touch it, that could be giving you a sign, you know, in your waking life to be mindful of what you're listening to, what you're eating, what you're watching on TV, who you're taking advice from, who you're telling your business to, like what is being deposited in your spirit, what type of thoughts, you know, how are you speaking to yourself? That's what that means. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Bread. Oh, I was about to say bread. Yeah, bread can typically represent the word of God, like being fed, the word, the bread, daily bread, as they say. So if you have dreams about that, that could mean something specific to some of you. That may not be everybody's thing, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I promise I'm done. I'm on a tangent. I can go on and on about these these messages, these codes. So yeah, much love to you guys as always. I hope that was resonating with you guys. Enjoy your Friday. If you guys are watching this on the Friday that I'm recording it, if you watch it later in time, enjoy the rest of your evening, your day. And I'll catch you guys in another live. Peace. Much love.